All right, we are live. All right. We had a little glitch, and this is too funny. While Matthew is getting ready, okay. Um, Hang on one second, guys. This is what happens when you kind of do things last minute. But anyways, we're glad we're on. All right, everything is good. I was doing some silly stuff in the background, and thank God I didn't do anything crazy. Look at that. You're putting the ring on. You're worse than me. So let me just introduce the superstar. So hang on, let me check. Hang on, let me see. Am I on Facebook? Hang on one second. We're gonna get this together. But how are you? Are you in New Jersey right now?
I am. I am actually. Yep.
I can't hear you.
Come on.
Ooh, let me see. Is it me?
You can't hear me? Wait, Lola, you can hear me, but you can't hear her? Sugar Lady Academy? Like that name. Maybe your volume is not on.
Because you
It went on for like a split second. This would have been a great interview. This is fun. by far one of the quietest interviews I've ever had, which I guess is a good thing. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Hey!
I called another Matthew. I thought it was you. Can you just introduce yourself and something on my other computer?
Okay.
All right, just talk about what we're doing, the market, and whatever you want to share about today, and I'll be on in 2 minutes, all right?
All right, got it.
You know what? Hey,
Yeah,
I was thinking, let me edit it and do it again. Do you want me to do that?
you can do that.
Okay, let's do that. Let's end this and do it again. All right, give me 2 minutes. Bye.
Right.
Tell everyone we'll be right back.
Guys, we'll be right back after these few messages. No, I'm only kidding. I guess there's technical difficulties on Minh's end. So she said for me to let you guys know that we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Please circle back around. I'm excited to let everybody know about what I've been working on for the last 20 years. See everybody soon. Watch out for the link.
Hey, everyone. All right, I'm sorry about that earlier, guys. I'm back on right now. Okay, back on. Perfect. Yeah, sorry about the glitch, but I did bring my other computer. All right, so sorry about that earlier. Let me see. Let me try to call him really fast. How's everyone doing? If you can hear me, let me know. All right, guys. This happened. I haven't been on my other computer in the office for so long doing live stream. So I guess that's what happens. All right. I am going to, let's do this. Where's that? I wonder if I can end the stream and do it over again or, yeah, thanks, babe. I just logged back on my laptop. So let me just tell them to come back on really quick. I'm going to probably have to do a lot of editing, but since we're already on, we might as well just keep it on. I got to remove myself. How do I remove myself off stage?
Hello.
Hey, all right, I'm back on.
So I go back on the same link?
Yes, sir. Yes, go back on the same link. Yeah, sorry about that. All I did was just hop back on and then like I was on again. So I need to figure out which one am I.
Figure out which one you are.
See which one am I gonna remove? Okay, this one. The start cam is off. Okay, perfect. Your audio was removed. Got it.
Oh, I hear you.
Yes, I see you.
Yeah, that was funny as shit.
Yeah, sorry about that glitch thingy. Oh my god, this is great. Well, anyways, that's why it's always good to have backups, right?
True.
You always need a backup plan just in case something happened. And then I called another Matthew. He was like, huh? Matthew M. Like I was just scrambling and I called. He said, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patience. We're gonna have to oops, hang on, let me do one last thing. Let me plug this in. Okay. Well, actually, no, I have enough time. Let me introduce you guys the one and only, all right, Matthew Merenoff. So hang on, let me just get this thingy together here. And this is what happened too when you do things like, really, really, really last minute. And that kind of happened to me. So, next time you guys want to make sure, you do, you prepare, right? I was so tired yesterday, so apologies. All right. I am going to introduce the one and only. Are you ready, sir?
I've been ready.
All right, perfect. So, okay. All right, so here we go. If you guys don't know, this is the one and only Matthew Merenoff. All right. He has experience for over 20 years in real estate, specializing in loan modifications and short sale negotiations. Back in 2015, he's been helping homeowners all across the country. He started it out running a national for sale by owner program. Wow, I didn't know that. Where he saw firsthand how tough things can get for homeowners. That inspired him to dive deep into helping people navigate their loans and protect their financial future. Now, in 2024, with the market shifting again, right? It totally is. Matt's spotting changes that many others might not see yet. And he's all about staying ahead with smart, proactive strategies. And I totally agree with that. You got to be proactive, because if you're not, the market's going to hit you and then you're going to have to react, right? So it's always good to be proactive, to be ahead of the game and be prepared, so you're not scrambling like everyone else. So thank you so much for, agreeing to come on today, Matt. I know you're a busy guy trying to save lives and, people's loans and trying to avoid foreclosures. So give us, okay. So I have a couple questions for you. All right. How did you get started in real estate?
That's actually a long story, but I'll make it short. I
Yes.
actually got started in real estate on the early 2000s. I worked for a mortgage company, and I was a train operator for New Jersey Transit, and I
Mhm.
got sick and I wasn't able to do the job anymore. So I ended up working for my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law. They took me in, and working for a mortgage company. I never wrote a mortgage. I worked in their closing department, and then I ended up getting involved in a nationwide FISBO service, and we just knocked the socks off of that. And I did that for many years. And I saw the market started to change in 2004, actually 20 years ago. And I saw a little change in tune of what was going on. People were in these types of tickler loans, and the loans were about to expire, and their rates were going up, and they didn't understand what was going on, and their mortgage payments were doubling, and obviously they were flipping out. So I took one of those classes where you could buy a house for as little as $10 out of pocket, not take on the mortgage, but you could take on the actual deed of the property. Took a class, got involved with this group. The owner of the company then asked me to come on and get involved and basically, just try to be in a better situation and help people avoid foreclosure. And multiple different partnerships, got rid of, a lot of the bad apples, the bad seeds, and they end up going on my own. And as I said, 2015, I went nationwide with my services and offering in other states other than New Jersey, where I am. And I built an amazing team that works side by side with me. They don't work for me. And we work together as a team, and we're helping people, nationwide that want to avoid foreclosure.
Wow. Now, also, do you think this market is going to be just as bad as 208 or 2010?
So, it's a different smell, it's a different taste. There's a lot of things that seem like they're similar as far as people falling behind in the mortgage. I mean, people tell me all the time short sales are dead, they're nowhere. People have plenty of equity in their houses. I mean, we're getting phone calls literally all over the country from people that don't have equity in their house, or they have equity in their house. I believe a lot of what we're going to see over the next coming years. Well, first, let me back up. We were due for a correction, but COVID really came in the clutch and kicked real estate into high gear and soared property values even more than it could possibly have happened. And because of what was going on worldwide, interest rates dropped to an historic low, and people were paying more for properties. They were paying more for properties. Their interest rates were lower. Some people were put into, tickler loans, and again, lower interest rates to get them to be able to buy, more of a property. So I'm not saying that all the loans were written were bad, but some people were put into mortgages they just can't afford. And 2 years later, after the pandemic, I'm seeing people now that are trying to offload properties that they bought 2 years ago, and the value's not there. So the signs are already, on the wall. Do I think it's going to be like 2008? No, I don't. But things are a lot different than they were.
Do you think it's going to be worse or better?
No, I think there's a lot of people have equity in their property. Matter of fact, we've already helped 7 families this year avoid foreclosure, save the equity in their house, and move on to whatever the next phase of their life will be. The majority of the transactions that we get are people that have no equity in their house. They haven't paid their mortgage in God knows how long, and everybody has a reason behind why they didn't pay it. Some of them are real and some of them are false. I will tell you this, the people that are hell-bent on going against the bank and saying it's the bank's fault, and then looking into the paperwork and looking into behind the scenes what had happened. Yes, maybe some people were misled by their lending institution, but the reality is this, your signature's on that paperwork. And if you signed that paperwork and they have all the documentation and everything, the T's crossed, the dots dotted, whatever, there's really no recourse. You don't really hear people that got their houses for free from the banks, from the banking industry. Can you get, deficiencies waived? Can you get deferments taken off of, mortgages and stuff like that? That's things that may or may not be able to happen. But I will tell you this, I don't think it's going to be like in 2008, but I think it's going to be a streamlined process. I'm seeing people now that are defaulting their mortgage a year later, not even in the state of New Jersey, where it used to be years and years and years, are actually going to foreclosure. We're helping a family now. Actually, funny story, we're trying to help a family right now in Upper Bergen County, New Jersey.
Oh.
The husband wants to work with us. We got a fucking cease and desist order. Yeah, from the wife. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, don't you guys live in the same house? Yes. Aren't you guys happily married, or married at least? And he's like, yes. You sleep in the same bed?
So
yes.
what's the problem?
Exactly. Massive disconnect between the husband and the wife.
Oh my goodness.
And what she feels our company can do for them and what he knows we can do for them. I was referred by a real estate agent that I've done multiple transactions with in New Jersey. It's just a massive disconnect. But to get an attorney involved and write my company a letter, cease and desist, to no longer move forward, I said, you got to get that straightened out and make sure your wife has that attorney write another letter.
What do you think the problem is? Because I heard this, attorneys are doing what you do and they're charging the same as you charge. And what I know about attorneys, they take forever, and we love them. We love them. But sometimes lawyers could be liars, right? And they want to charge you as much money as possible because they see what you're doing is so great. And they think just because they are an attorney, they don't practice this and do this for a living full time. So there's a lot of them coming out there and they think, because they are an attorney, they are going to get this job better, done faster, quicker, and better than you. What do you think about that? What do you have to say about that?
I will say this. Okay, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not an attorney. I run a loss mitigation company. And as I said, in 2015, we ended up going in other market shares across the country because people were being misled. When we take on a client and we take on a file, we want to know from the very beginning, yes or no, whether we can help or not. We actually work the file in reverse. We need to get as much information as we can from the backstory to see what we can do as far as moving forward. And I correlate it just like this. You can't build a house on dirt. I will say that there's a lot of attorneys out there that take people's money because legally They can. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, if you don't have the proper footing, foundation, and framing work, you're never going to be able to have a successful transaction, whether
Correct.
the person's trying to save the property or whether they're trying to sell
I totally agree, but sometimes they think they feel because they are an attorney that gives them that badge, that not even a badge of honor, that badge like, hey, I can do this better. And just because of that, they can bully people, right? So I agree because there's also attorney who's being a realtor, right? If you're so great as being an attorney, why are you being a realtor? Right? Aren't you busy doing your attorney stuff?
it.
So
There's a lot of attorneys that are out there that overstep their bounds. And let
correct.
me just say this. Let me step it back and say I'm friends with a lot of attorneys.
So am
And
I.
they understand my process and they understand what my company does. If somebody does a transaction with my company, they don't ever want to do it again because they see the value what my team brings. And by the way, the name of my company is Real Estate Recovery Group. I spell real estate one word, although real and estate are two different words. And that means RRG. And RRG stands for Rules, Regulations, and Guidelines. I don't play around when it comes to helping people. And
Okay.
if we can't add value, we tell them point blank, I can't add value. And here's another thing. You can reach out to Hope for Homeownership. You don't have to contact me. You don't have to call an attorney. Go to a government agency, see if they can help you. I already know the answer for a lot of scenarios because those people end up coming to me that went to an attorney or went to Hope for Homeownership that
Right.
couldn't be helped.
Right. I mean, I feel like, when you want to get something done, you always get the expert, someone that has been doing it for a really long time now. There are some people who has been doing things for a really long time and still doing it wrong, okay? And just because they have a certification or some type of licensing, right? That
Mhm.
doesn't always give them that badge of honor because that badge of honor comes from characteristic, right, of a person. So I really love that. So there are some questions, all right, some people may have, like, I'm going to put it right here. What is the difference, okay, between a loan modification and a short sale?
All right. So the modification of a loan is where you're changing the terms, the original terms of a loan.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, if you change the terms of that loan, you may be in jeopardy of losing that interest rate. So if the interest rate is lost, you know, they may or may not be able to qualify to keep their house. So if you get a loan modification, I'm going to give you, this is for real, for instance,
Okay.
we had somebody that their interest rate was, I think, a little under 3%. But based on the interest rate in the current market, it's the prevailing rate. They don't go back and go, hey, let's relock this person in. They're going on what the current interest rate is. So be very careful when you're talking with your lender and trying to figure out what makes sense for that. And what I mean by that is you can ask your bank if there's a way to do a deferment of the loan that's owed on the property.
Okay.
All the forbearance is going to do is push it to, at some point, kicking the can down the road, 3, 6, 12 months. COVID, people have paid their mortgages for 2 years. Now they want them to repay it. They don't have the money to repay it, and they're not offering a deferment. Guess what? You either have to file a Chapter 13. Let me just state, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I don't practice. I don't hold a license, but I have to say that disclaimer because attorneys tell me all the time I got to say that. If you go to a 13, you got to cure that in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if your payment was $2,000 a month and you haven't paid your mortgage in 2 years, your payment could be $6,000 a month for 5 years. Yeah, you get to keep your interest rate, but can you hold off for 5 years to make those payments? You have equity in your house, sell your property and move on and go on to the next phase of your life. Because just sitting in your house and doing nothing and sucking the equity out of your house and treating it like a reverse mortgage is absolute garbage. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about short sales. Let's say you
Wow,
have
wait, hang on one second. You said something very interesting, and I don't want to move forward because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people. This is a new language for them, and it sounds exciting. So I want you to maybe repeat that again. So there's people who is doing a loan mod, so you need to make sure that the interest rate is still not different. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The deferment. even though when they get a deferment, right, when is it that they are going to have to pay that off? And you mentioned something about the 5 year. Can you go through that again?
If somebody does a deferment of their mortgage, of their loan,
Okay.
the deferment of the difference of what's owed can actually go to the back of the mortgage. So you're not paying it now, you're paying it at the end. So it could be a balloon payment at the end of that loan. When you're doing a forbearance, and people were getting mixed up a lot. And let me tell you this, most people don't realize that the mortgage commission was watching this very closely, and the banks were giving really bad advice to homeowners that had fallen behind on your mortgage.
Right.
So they're telling people, oh, don't worry, we'll defer it. Well, really what it was a forbearance. What's their recourse? Zero. But the banks were getting in trouble. Tens of thousands of dollars they were getting fined. That's great, you want to fine the bank, but help the person who's in trouble with their property if they have a legitimate reason. During COVID, I'm seeing, based on the phone calls that I have, looking at tax returns and talking to other individuals in other states, people lied. There was no hardship. They just didn't want to pay their mortgage.
Right.
Matt, you're full of shit. How do you know that? Because I'm looking at tax returns. And some of these people made more money during COVID than they're making right now filing in their 2023, 2024, getting ready to file 2024 tax returns. So what was your financial hardship? Why did you stop paying your mortgage? I'm going to tell you why. Because the majority of people thought they could get away with it. And when they realized they couldn't, and this is after speaking with asset managers, these homeowners are going to get their asses spanked, and they're going to have to sell their property because interest rates are not 2.5%, 3%, 4% anymore. So they're up shit's creek.
So what's the difference between the forbearance and a deferment?
Deferment is the loan. The difference of the loan goes to the back of your loan. Okay. It just goes to the back. So you're just going to have to pay it longer. The forbearance is where they're forbearing the payment. So you're not paying it now, but you got to pay it. And if you can't do the forbearance that they want you to pay, then you got to do a loan modification. If you can't do a loan modification, you might be forced to file some type of bankruptcy to try to see what you can do to help.
Wait, so the forbearance, right? You don't pay now, you pay later. Is there like a way they structure it and the customer, don't they structure it with their lender?
Each lender is different.
Right, but there's an opportunity to do that. So they would probably let them know. Are they educated on that? Or
the thing is that homeowners don't know this. You should have really communicated with your lender when you were going through that process. Here's another thing, ready for this? During COVID, we had some slow time.
Right.
I called my bank. I told my bank, hey, listen, we're slow right now. My tax returns 100% would have shown it, and that's fine as far as the income that was coming in. But here's what people didn't realize. If they were in a forbearance, and let's say the forbearance was 3 months or 6 months or whatever, and then they were getting ready to go into another forbearance, and now you're in month 1 of that forbearance, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, whatever. I don't need the forbearance anymore. You sure you don't need the forbearance? No, I don't need the forbearance. Now, if you didn't make a payment during that period of time in that window of that forbearance, let's say you didn't make 2 payments, but you were in that forbearance for 6 months, and now you're current. What you should have done, and what most homeowners didn't do, is they didn't ask that magic question. If I pull myself out of forbearance, will you record my late payments? Guess what's happened? People that were in forbearances said, I don't need it anymore. It's not the bank's job to tell you. It's the bank's job to process what you tell them and provide them. People starting to get dinged on their credit reports.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So they should have rode the forbearances out, but they didn't have any legal advice, no professional advice.
Right.
And quite honestly, though I think that they should have waived regardless whether somebody got out or not. Yeah, because there's a lot of gray area. But I can tell you that there's a tremendous amount of people that are coming down the road right now that are running into the same thing where they lied to their bank. they're going to lose. They will lose their houses.
Right. Wow. So the best way you think that they should probably do a short sale. Now we talked about a loan mod. What is a short sale?
Short sale is nothing more than a lender taking less than what's actually owed on the property. So let's say you haven't paid your taxes in, 4 years. Let's say you're 4 years behind on your mortgages. Let's say your association is due or what have you. All those things mount up. So if your
Right.
original loan balance was $300,000 and during that course period of time you didn't pay,
Mm-hmm.
now you have to pay whatever the rearage is plus your mortgage. And if you can't cure what you owe from the past payments, they have the right to foreclose on you. So if the property is upside down, unless you plan on bringing money to the closing table, you're going to be in a very tight situation. And unfortunately, there are people that are current on their mortgages right now thinking that because they're current, that the bank is going to allow them to take a loss and not ding their credit report. You 100% your credit's going to get dinged.
So remember you and I were talking about one of the listing that I had, right? And we just use this for an example because
It's actually a great example. Go ahead.
we want real life examples,
Yeah,
right?
go ahead.
So, this is an industrial property. This person, obviously, I don't know how they got the loan for the business and the property. I have no idea. But whoever sold him the business and the property, they need to be in lawsuit right now because they totally lied. There's no way in a year or two you're looking to sell your property and the business, and he's trying to get the same amount, actually more than what he bought the property and the business for. So perfect example, he's in the fall. I had no idea because they want to have those little tough talk and show me their bank account, but we don't know what's behind, like what is the loss of everything. Even if they're showing $40 million gross, right? You don't know what their net is. And because of that, I said, okay, seems like he got money. All right, fine, that's good, right? So then later on, I didn't know, like he finally got super motivated. And this is why, guys, if you're listing a property and you're serious about selling, just because once you put it on the market and you get an offer right away does not mean you short sold yourself. No, sometimes you get that one-time lucky buyer only, and you said no to them, you may not get another buyer like that person because there's so many scenarios. But let's go back to that. So, he's been talking to his lender, and I think an attorney for the lender. And I think with him and I, there is a communication cutoff. And I know now, but before I had no idea, this is what he's going through. And I think it's an ego challenge, so maybe you could speak on that. And I wish I would have brought you on, have a conversation with him, because if he's speaking to his lender, you know how to speak the same language, the same, whatever they're talking about. I should have connected with him right away, but I didn't connect that was what he really needed at that time. And we were still, in good standing at the moment, right? So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have got you on, and I should have let you speak with him, because he just believed his bank and believed the attorney.
And where is he right now with that property?
Dude, I have no idea. And that area flooded. So I already received a email tell me do not contact him again, for he's going to report me. So you know what they say, right? You keep contacting them until they say no. So that was my, my key to stop contacting me, So yeah, with the situation, what do you tell people when they're speaking with a lender and their lender is telling you, no, this is the most we would take only? What do you have to say to people like that? I'm pretty sure you've done deals like that before, right?
So the problem is that the right questions aren't being asked of the individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really blame anybody for that, because they're just not trained. And most people don't want to take the time to understand what needs to be asked. Again, I mean, I say it all the time. It's like throwing shit up against the wall. If it stinks, great. If not, you move on. So because people don't ask specific questions, and I'm not going to get into everything, but I'm just going to touch base on it. Like, when the loan was originally drafted and written, right? Was it, a locked-in interest rate? Okay. Was there something that, is there an insurance policy that was taken out from the lender's side that maybe you as a homeowner or a property owner don't know? It's an insurance policy that makes it that if you default on your loan, they get paid. So whether you pay your mortgage or not, they're being paid. Do I think that's wrong? No, I actually think it's smart. Do I think it's wrong that they still go after somebody and try to foreclose on them and double dip on them? Yeah, I think that's wrong. Um, People ask me all the time, well, I signed the paperwork and, I'm locked in and I'm responsible for the loan. You are, but not at the sense of, breaking a family up, having gone to a divorce situation, not being able to put food on your table. I will tell you this, and if anybody's watching this of power in a lending institution and they want to basically come after me for saying this, I don't really care at this point. I'm insured myself. So if something happens to me, I'm okay with that. These lenders or the mortgage companies, if let's just say a value comes on the property and they know the dollar amount that they can actually take for the property, they know what their loss is on the property, they know what their break-even number is on the property. They, the negotiators on these files, they get a commission, some of them. So let's say your offer is $500,000 and the bank says the house is worth $700,000 and they're holding strong at $700,000, knowing that maybe the value is $550 of the property and they want $700. It's up to the negotiator on that file to say yay or nay. No, I'll let it go for that number or not. The reason why they don't let it go for the number of what the person wants to buy for, and it might be the true value of that number, is one, possibly it's insured, and two, that negotiator gets a fucking real estate. They not a real estate commission, but they get a commission. They actually get a fee for collecting more money. Now, even though the property might be upside down, it's their job as a negotiator to negotiate to try to get the best dollar amount. But it shouldn't be at the expense of the person who's in trouble with their property, that if the value isn't there. I don't agree with that logic or those tactics, because now you're willingly driving somebody into foreclosure. That I think is wrong, and that I think should be stopped, and I think that should be illegal.
Yeah, well, the loan that he had was an SBA loan. And in the beginning, the lender was going to accept the price that my buyer offered. Okay. But then later on, the lender changed their mind because it used to be on SBA's hand. It is a commercial property with a business. So it was an SBA. So let you guys know, Matthew also specialized in SBAs with commercial and businesses. So that's what that was. And that's what the guy told me. It's out of SBA's hand and they turn it over to another department. I'm thinking, like, did the other department bought it? Because we even looked it up online to see, what it was. And I think the bank did call the loan because there was a letter there, but it wasn't 100% completed, So yeah. The other tactic what to do is, I don't know, at the time, let's just say if it goes to the bank's hand, how easily is it for someone who wants to buy the property to contact the lender?
So I'm not a huge fan of REOs, and REO stands for real estate owned property. The REO thing. I'm not a huge fan of it. At that point, they've already jumped through all the hoops.
Okay.
And they want top dollar for their property. Maybe a lot of these lenders, which I've seen, is they'll take the property back, they'll rehab it, and then they'll put it back on the market, and they'll get top dollar for it to try to recoup what they lost, or they'll actually get more money for the property than they did. Because remember, some of these properties might have insurance policies on them, but again, like, the lenders don't have to tell you that they're doing it. Just like yourself, like when you have a property, you want to cover your property contents and the building replacement costs, you get insurance. So why wouldn't a lender not have an insurance policy on a loan that if, God forbid, shit goes sideways, they're covered? It actually makes sense.
Absolutely. They have an insurance policy. And, I totally agree with you that the right questions were not being asked. And I know that it's on my side as well. Like, I never want to blame other people. It was my fault as well. I didn't ask the right question. And that's why I wanted to get you on, because I don't speak the same lingo as the bank speak. So, to this point, we can have an off talk conversation about that. But the next question would be, why realtors need to understand what you offer?
The reason why real estate agents need to know what I offer, and I'm not going to promote it, but I'm just going to mention it.
Mm-hmm.
I offer free classes, and
Wow.
I literally just started marketing this towards real estate offices, and I'm getting strange phone calls. Agents don't need it. There's not enough inventory out there to even worry about it. Well, who the hell are you to decide whether your real estate agent wants to know about
Mm-hmm.
short sales? It's a free education class. Why the hell would you want? Why would you not want your real estate agent to know about a free class? It's very informative and gives the information so agents understand not to be afraid of the dark side of real estate. Everybody goes for traditional low-hanging fruit.
Correct.
Nobody wants to go for the person who's in trouble, who's in a life jacket, that's basically going to drown because, or they're going to die of starvation because they don't know what to do.
Right.
So I'm getting phone calls from people, agents that are saying, and shame on the brokers, I saw you on social media. I have a transaction I need you to take a look at. Cool. How'd you find me? I found you on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or, one of those reels. Cool. You don't have anybody in your office that does this? No, actually, my broker frowns upon working for distressed real estate because they say the transactions never close and we're wasting our time. Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So maybe not for anybody else, but for me, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 people that reach out to me that are real estate agents don't go after distressed real estate because they don't know enough about it. My thought process is, and the reason why I'm offering this free education, and if you're, especially in Bergen County, and you see New Jersey, and you see one of these cards come out, or go to your office, or even ask your broker, or ask your office manager, hey, there's a guy out there that's offering these free classes to us. Why can't we learn about it? Because I can tell you, people pay thousands of dollars to learn from me and have done nothing. And they've done nothing with it. So I feel like if an agent is spoon-fed information and they learn along the way in the process, that it's something that maybe they won't stay away from, that they won't be scared from. So that's why I'm trying to do my part to educate people so people don't have to lose their houses to foreclosure.
I love that. And what you said is very true, because when you become a new agent and when you join the office, they always teach you, stick with the lowest hanging fruit.
Right.
And they're not wrong about that either, but they should also tell people how lucrative it could be, because there's so many people who makes a ton of money doing short sale. And a lot of company, they just want you to focus on the retail, the retail of it. And I totally agree that it is because they're not familiar. And when you go into unfamiliar territory, you get scared. You're like stepping into dark water because you don't know what's in there. And because of that, you're like, no, I don't want to stick my feet all the way in. And they hear stories of getting sunk in, and it's probably because of another person's someone's failure. And because of that, they start chirping the bird, hey, the word is this, don't do it because it's not good. And so, but another way, it benefits you, right? It benefits people who wants opportunity when the market is dry, when there's nothing going on. Because there's a lot of people who has real estate license. I forgot how many real estate agents are here in Florida. A lot of people get their license so they can sell their own house, right? And and now there's so many things going on. When we lose a lot of agents as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this: how is there a way that someone can go and find who needs a loan mod, who needs a short sell? Is there a marketing strategy, or somewhere, a database that someone can look online to find these files? Do you recommend going into the county courthouse, the litigators, county information site? Like, how does someone find these deals?
I tell you, one of the things that I do, This is something new that I'm actually working on now myself.
Okay.
I actually do postcards like this.
Okay.
And then on the back, it talks about the different scenarios that might pop up that might, tickle the fancy for that person.
Okay.
Problem is that not everybody has money to spend on marketing like this.
Right.
They panic and they go, well, what if I don't have that type of money to do stuff like that? Or if I don't have a marketing person, having a VA call is not really that expensive. If you break it down, cost per lead, and if you break it down as far as trying to get somebody on a telephone doing live transfers. Just to give you an example, November 6th, next month, I'm actually doing a live, education night with 4 other professionals that I do business with. We're not charging for the event. Anybody that comes to that event, it's free to come. You just have to register for it because I'm worried because the amount of people that are registering, we're reaching out, confirming you're definitely coming because now it's starting to exceed the amount of seats. 1, because it's free, and 2, there's dinner. So people are like, fuck, I get free education, I get to eat. Great. And it's also the networking. So what's my point? My point is that we're going to go over a lot of those things at the event. But I'm going to tell people now that are watching, it's not rocket science. For me, after doing this, the best way for myself, and I tell people this all the time, people are like, oh, why are you giving up your trade secrets? Because I know 99% of the people aren't going to do what I do. They're terrified to do it. I'm not terrified to pick up a phone call and talk to a divorce attorney. I'm not terrified to talk to a probate attorney. I'm not terrified to talk to a bankruptcy attorney, a real estate attorney, a title company, an insurance company. You don't think you can get leads out of an insurance company? Insurance companies know when somebody's going to get force-placed insurance before anybody else. What force-placed insurance? Force-placed insurance is insurance that the bank has to put on a property when the homeowner isn't paying their mortgage anymore. Or let's say their escrow balance falls out and now I have to pay for it. I will tell you this. If you can get your property back on track, or you think you're going to get back on track, tell your mortgage company that you want to pay for the insurance, because the insurance is probably going to be double, if not 3 times the amount of money that will be from your normal policy. So there's a lot of ways to get and find these people. You could go to real estate meetups. People don't want to do that because they have to go out and socialize.
Right.
So there's different methods that people can use, and I've used all those methods. What's wrong with putting on an event at a church?
Yeah.
First-time homebuyer seminar, or foreclosure prevention seminar. I've done maybe 2 of those. I've been a part of it. I haven't run it, but I mean, hey, 10, 15, 20 people run through that. Let's say you get one solid deal out of it for a couple of hours, and you get a good deal, and you make an opportunity where you can help somebody and make money. It's not a bad thing. So there are ways that you can find these transactions. You can network with other real estate agents. That's my only hope, that I do these events for real estate offices and team leads for real estate agents. I mean, I'm talking people now. I got one guy works for one of those office free agencies. No, there's no brick and mortar. You know the ones I'm talking about. I can't say their name for legal purposes. I'm not allowed. But he's got 1,200 people in his downline.
Wow.
It's like, dude, this is fucking genius. Why isn't everybody doing what you're doing? Because 1, they don't want to give away trade secrets.
Right.
They're afraid. I don't look at people as competition. I look at everybody as opportunity. So I do my job. They do their job. Everybody gets helped. The agents make the real estate commission, and I get paid. I get paid by the buyer. It's not rocket science.
Right. Right. I love that you're actually gave me some idea on churches. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Are you ever I know you sometimes come to Florida, but I don't know. Yeah. I would love to bring you here. I want to speak to a couple churches because I think that is a great idea. There's always someone who knows someone in church who needs help, and they may need to know, the options that you're talking about. And something I never heard before about insurance company. What kind of insurance? Can you tell me that again? insurance company or insurance something that you said you can find out if someone, because you're right, if they're stopped paying for insurance, it means that their loan is actually going in defaults, right?
I don't know if there's any real regulation against this. I think if you know somebody in the insurance industry, why not reach out to them and say, hey,
Okay.
do you have anybody that's on your list
Yes.
that, you know, has placed insurance on their property?
Wait, what is it called? Forced place?
Placed
Like
insurance.
force, like FORCED
Yeah.
in place. Okay, let me type this down.
Placed insurance. Yeah.
Force. That is genius. I forgot. This is why it's always good to network, right? We are networking right now. If you guys
That's
don't
right.
know, we are networking. And if you guys are watching, we are networking with you. Okay. You got to contact Matthew. And another thing is that there's going to be some people who doesn't want to do what you do.
Right.
There's another opportunity, right, for other realtors, other investors to make money
Yeah.
from you. And how can they do that if they don't want to do the short sell thing? How can they make money?
Look, I try to make this as easy as possible for people. Like I said, you know, what I do isn't rocket science. So, you know, when I tell people, look, if you come across somebody and the person's in distress with their property and you don't know what to do, and you don't want to handle it, do you know how many real estate agents out there will die to pay 25, 30% for a referral fee?
Absolutely.
Because they're dead in the water and they don't have any ways of actually making money right now, and they're looking for other ways to make money and work with, you know, companies like myself. I know there are other companies that are out there that are quote unquote trying to emulate what I do, but they can't do it. And the reason why they can't do it is, one, they don't have the hours that I have. They don't have the team effort that I have. I mean, I have a lead negotiator on my team. My lead negotiator is a licensed HUD counselor.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of people that are doing these types of transactions. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't know, and they're driving people over and over again into foreclosure. So this isn't an appraisal. Oh my God, Matt, you're so great. This is me saying the reality is, guys, just stay in your lane. If you're a real estate agent, be a fucking real estate agent. If you're an attorney, be an attorney. If you're in construction, you're contractor work, you want to be an investor, different story. But to break into what I do, what happens if you fuck up and you drive somebody to foreclosure? What do you say? Oops, I'm sorry, right? That doesn't go really well with the people that are in trouble because they're relying on you as the expert. I mean, thank God. I've been doing this for a really long time. I'm doing this for 20 years. We've never had any real issues. I laugh when I get the letters, cease and desist, and stuff like that. And then I communicate with the attorneys, and they're like, oh, the homeowner doesn't know what they want to do. They're frightened. All right, no problem. File goes in the garbage. I don't give a shit. What's sad is those homeowners end up going to foreclosure because they think Jesus Christ Almighty is going to reach into his loincloth, whatever his dress is that he's wearing, pull out a checkbook and write a check. And I don't mean it disruptively because I know there are people that are religious that are out there. But the reality is, my saying for a very long time was, it's not a no until you get a restraining order. And that's related to real estate, nothing else. Those people were getting offended. My new saying is solutions over excuses.
Absolutely.
If someone who wants to understand what we do and what we offer, I'm all for it. I mean, like, you have my email address up here. You can absolutely email me. You could call me on my 866-739-3960 number. You can call that number. This is a live operator 24 hours a day waiting to pick up. If you're a homeowner, they ask questions. If you're a homeowner, if you're a real estate agent, they ask questions. If you're a real estate agent, if you're calling in and you want to know about the free classes that I offer, the only thing that I ask is it has to be for an office or for a team of agents. I'm not doing one-offs anymore. It's way too consuming for me. And the follow-up from those agents, for the most part, is zero. They want to kind of figure out what I'm doing, and I'm not interested in doing that. But only if you're serious and you really want to learn how to help people, do it. Now, the other thing that people could do is they can go to Amazon. They can purchase my book. It's, I think, $24 and you can get it mailed to your house. Why? Again, this isn't me promoting. This is me telling you guys, this is 20 years of information. This is telling you, look, if you're a homeowner and you need to know who to pick as a real estate agent, this is great. If you're, a real estate agent and you don't know what to say to a homeowner, this is great. If you want to hear behind the stories of real people that we've helped, this is great. You want to understand what you should be submitting to the bank, this is great. I mean, that's it. I mean, there's no hidden agenda here. Minh reached out to me and said, hey, can we jump on real quick? This is spur of the moment. Last night, boom, here we are right now. We're talking, and that's it. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is educate people, let them know that they're not alone out there. And I love the fact that you let me come on here and talk to people to see if this is something that they might be interested in. But don't be shy. Don't be afraid of trying to help somebody. You can help somebody and make money doing it.
Absolutely. Okay, so since you mentioned, I love the book, and you mentioned a couple of things, right? What to say to a homeowner. So give me 2 things that you would recommend someone, if they're a realtor, what to say to a homeowner, what to say to an attorney, what to say to a bank. 1 or 2 tips that you can give.
Well, I guess if you're talking with a homeowner, one of the things I ask, and real estate agents laugh when we get off the phone, because real estate agents ask me, hey, can you do this call with me? Can you help me get this listing? And the answer is always yes, I'll help. But do you have a safe place to go? House is selling, property is going to sell. Do you have a place to go? No. You need to start thinking about that. Do you have any money saved? No, I don't. You have a family member you can call. Maybe they can help you. I heard that the banks will give me $50,000 to move out. Well, those days are over. And a lot of those loans that got paid, $20,000, $50,000, they got paid because they didn't have the paperwork. They didn't actually have the collateral paperwork where they could have came out and finished out the process. But those people didn't know any better. And the reality is, the deep reality is, those loans might have been able to be, restructured. But you know what? They didn't reach out to me. So, and that's fine. Have we made second mortgages vanish? Yes. You could file bankruptcy, and if the filing of the bankruptcy is incorrect, you could ask your attorney if they file the bankruptcy incorrect and it's off by 5 cents. Do I have an opportunity to wipe off a second mortgage over my house if it wasn't recorded correctly? The answer is yes. But see, people don't know this. Want to know why? Because the majority of the people that are in our industry, in this industry, in real estate, unfortunately, are bottom feeders. They want everything for free. They think they're great. They drive around in these cars they can't afford. They're buying fake watches to make it seem like they're better than they really are. But the reality is, there are actually people out there like me that know what they're doing. So call your bank, find out what your options are. Maybe you don't qualify for a short sale. Maybe you only qualify for a loan modification. Maybe you only qualify first for what's called a streamline modification, where they don't take any of your financials in play and they just streamline your modification versus going off of anything that you may or may not have. Are there does the bank offer a cooperative short sale? These are types of things that you can ask. If you had somebody working on your file as a homeowner, and maybe that person didn't tell you what they asked or the questions that were asked, you have the right to ask your bank, can I get the platform notes? Can I get the notes that were discussed between my previous representative and you so I can review it to see what was said? Because I don't know what he said was true or not said, right? So there's things that you could do to cover yourself. If a recording of a filing is not correct, do you have the right to postpone a sheriff's sale, even if you're in a state where you don't have the right to postpone it? Like New Jersey, you get 2 adjournments, but in other states they don't have that. But in New Jersey, we have that. It's a saving grace. So there's so many different ways that people can try to help people, but they don't do it because it all comes down to greed, and they don't really give a shit about the person in the house. Sorry, not sorry.
No, absolutely. That's really true. That's why a lot of agency that we work for always try to steer their realtors away from short sale. I mean, they have the reasons, and because of fail, other projects that other people have. So it's always good to have someone on the other end that's actually there and want to help the owner in particular. So that's always good to know. So we talked about, things to ask the homeowner. And those are questions I think those are really important questions that a lot of people are afraid to ask, actually. Do you have any money? Do you have a safe place to go? I feel like those are one of the most important questions to ask someone. And I wouldn't even know how to ask these questions because sometimes we get offended or we're afraid to offend someone,
Correct.
right?
Do you have any liens against your property?
Mm-hmm.
If they have liens against their property and they say, no, I don't have any liens against the property. One of the biggest misconceptions is if somebody's in financial distress with their property,
Mm-hmm.
they don't run title on the house or the building or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the asset is. Why? Because you're going on the word of the person who's in distress. Now, I'm not saying that person's lying, but
Yep.
there's a good chance maybe they don't remember something that happened to them 5 years ago that's attached to their property. What if the property was a parent's property and they took the property over? And let's just say they switched it, but they never got title insurance. So they never did a search on the property to find out that there's medical liens on the property. Guess
Mm-hmm.
what? You did the switch of the property, but you never insured it, meaning you never really cleared title. So what happened is you actually inherited someone else's downfall. So I always tell people, first and foremost, we got to run title because we need to know what we're up against. Same thing, footing, foundation, framing. You're not going to start a distress sale. You're not going to start a short sale, in my opinion, with a framing on the dirt because you don't know what's going to come up. You don't know if the house is going to fall, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
need to have a sturdy foundation, footing, foundation, framing. That's important. You got to run title.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So who runs the title? You have the homeowner do it or you guys would do it yourself?
We actually run title. We have relationships with multiple title companies across the United States. And because of somewhat of the volume that we do and the promise of doing more work with us, they'll either give us a discount or maybe they'll waive the fee for services because of relationships that we have with other sister title companies. But you got to know what you're dealing with. You don't go into a room in the dark with the machine gun and just start shooting. It doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. And I see it over and over and over again. And then I get to arguments with attorneys because
Mm-hmm.
let's say there's a failed short sale and
Mm-hmm.
now we already have title. We have everything in place. We've already cleared title. Now the buyer comes along and says, no, I want to use my title company. Now I get in trouble for this all the time. I'm a firm believer to say, look, we already got a title company working on this title. Why are we switching title?
Exactly.
That's not fair. That title company should have the right to be able to do the title. It's not like they're getting paid any more money. They're not. But I will tell you this, if we get brought in a transaction and it's the beginning and you want to use your title company and your title company fucks up, I want in writing that if your title company fucks up, you're going to work with one of my title companies that I've done multiple transactions with because I will not deliberately drive somebody into foreclosure because you're like, I'm not doing this transaction unless it's my title company. That should
You know
never
what?
happen.
Speaking of title companies have been the one who actually messed the deal up just as bad as attorneys. So I am with you on that. If a title company have started something, you should let them complete it, especially if you have that relationship and you done work with them multiple times, especially when you're doing a specific, let's just say, like, transaction, short sale, loan modification. Those title company, they need to be prepared for it and they need to know the steps, right? Because title companies are the mediator. They're the one who brings us to closing. And because if they lack something and they don't know how to move through, I lost a deal in probate because of a title company. Didn't know what the heck they were doing. I was so upset. And at last, one of my buyer agreed to move to another title company. That seller was gone. So I blame title companies. That's why it's so important to deal with the right title company that knows what they're doing. Because when I work with title companies, they need to move fast. And your title company is like your assistant. That's the reason why you brought them in, because they're here to assist you to get the deal closed. So I agree with that. Now, I thank you so much for coming on here. But what do you like to share with everyone who's watching here, for realtors, homeowners? What are some of the tips like you like to share? Before how to avoid foreclosure or short sale or loan modification. What are some of the 3 tips that you would like to share with them?
Number one, you got to be open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to listen. Just don't hear it. You got to listen to what someone's going to say to you. And if it sounds like a duck and it quacks like a duck, most likely it's a duck.
It is a duck.
Understand? Don't be afraid to Google somebody. I tell people all the time, Google me. Google my personal name, Google my business name, and see what pops up. If you ask somebody that you're talking with, hey, would it be okay if I Googled you? Do you have any nicknames, any surnames or whatever? See how upset they get when you ask them that question, because maybe they changed your name. Maybe they changed your company name, right? So that to me is a red flag. So I tell people all the time, Google me personally and Google my company. Some people never do it, but just the fact that I asked them to do that, I said, are you sure? Because I want to make sure, because I'll talk to people on the phone and they're like, oh, let's move forward. Google me. I want to make sure you know who you're operating with, because I might not have the cleanest mouth, but my intentions are pure.
Right.
And I want to help people. Don't just necessarily drive yourself into foreclosure because you think it's a good thing to do because Larry down the street was able to get a lower interest rate or he was able to get a principal reduction. Those days are gone. So stop it with that nonsense and really try to communicate and network with other individuals, like-minded individuals that are like you. You might not want to deal with my title companies. You might not want to deal with my attorneys. Price. You might even want to. You might not like me. You might not like my personality. The reality is, I'm good. I'm actually great at what I do, and so is my team. My team is top notch. But when you get used to being comfortable in a situation and not paying for something, and then here's Real Estate Recovery Group saying, we need bank statements, we need tax returns, we need a letter from your accountant or your CPA, we need 6 months profit and loss, or a year, or 3 months, or whatever it is. What's this transfer? What's that transfer? Homeowners start to feel the pressure. Oh my God, this is really happening. So sometimes I have to have a wake-up call which I'm getting messages on Slack from a team. They need me. And it's basically saying, we need you to make this phone call because we need to find out, is this buyer really buying this property or is he full jet? Because the reality is, again, we don't want to drive somebody into foreclosure. But most importantly, have the right team around you. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a state where it's a title company state and it's a distressed property, I hate to say it, maybe you might have to pay for an attorney, because going into contract with another real estate agent and having a title company and saying that's binding, I don't agree with that. I think that at some point there should be some type of review, because a lot of sellers are signing contracts and they just don't know what they're doing. Matt, what are you talking about? I'll give you an example. I'm in New Jersey. I'm working on a deal in Washington State. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but the homeowner signed a contract. The contract, complete fucking garbage. I wouldn't even wipe my ass with that contract. But the seller doesn't know any better.
Right.
Now, the buyer's agent saying, I don't care, you signed that contract. Mm-hmm. So we're going to ride the wheels until they fall off to see if the transaction is going to go through. Well, I got news for you. What happens if it doesn't work out? You, Mr. Buyer's agent, you're okay because you're a piece of crap and you're willing to drive this person into foreclosure because the seller didn't know what his rights were and he signed that contract. You're okay with that? And the answer from the buyer's agent is, yeah, I'm okay with that. You're a piece of shit. So make sure the people around you really, truly understand what you're going through and are going to provide the service that most suits you. If you need somebody who's nurturing and caring, got that person. If you need somebody that's a bulldog and won't rip somebody's face, got that person. So I actually ask people when I do intakes on these files, who do you want to deal with? Do you want to deal with a man? Do you want to deal with a woman? I don't even know if legally I'm not even allowed to say that anymore.
Mhm.
There's so many different people in between. But the reality is, a different namesakes for it. The reality is, we listen, my company, and you, whether you work with me or not, you got to work with individuals that listen and hear what your needs are. And you ready for this? Tip for real estate agents or investors or shysters that are out there. Money is not always the running force behind these people that are in trouble. It's time.
Mhm.
You can ask these people, is it money or is it time? Do you have a place to go? Right. So there's a lot of things that are out there that can prevent people going to foreclosure. So I just tell people all the time, foreclosure is not an option. Find out your options before it's too late.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much. So I am going to put, is this the best contact for you? The email address?
The email's good. They could call the 866 number that I gave you. You could
Okay.
put that out there as well, because that's 24 hours a day. And if people are shy, they don't want to talk to me right now and they're nervous, but they just want to remember, hey, let me just call now and get my question out, or how can I work with you, or how can I get some of that free training? I'm here for you guys.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out to Matthew. I know sometimes, maybe you not agree with everything, all the words that he used, but he's awesome. And if you want someone to help you, you want someone who is going to be awesome, not going to be afraid and sit there and trying to give you sugarcoat everything to make you feel better, right? So, one last question I have for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you help agents all over the states and homeowners? Are there any states that you're limited to, or all over the states?
I mean, we'll work with really anybody in any state.
Okay. Okay.
But the people, the parties that are involved have to want to be helped, and the people that get assembled as a team, everybody has to be on the same team, on the same page. Because quite honestly, we're busy, and if they're not going to work with us and be on the same page, I'd rather say, hey, maybe you need to excuse yourself. And if you're not, and the seller wants you involved or the buyer wants you involved, I think we're going to excuse ourselves. It's not worth the aggravation.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, cool. Now, do you have a class coming up?
So I do have classes that pop up every now and then and do pop-up classes. So you'd
Mhm.
have to follow me on social media. It seems that the best way people follow me now are on Instagram.
Okay.
And my Instagram handle is very simple. It's at Short Sale Savage.
Oh,
Simple. At Short Sale Savage. They could follow me on Instagram, and then from there they can get into the other things. But people ask me all the time, what's my title? My title is I'm a foreclosure prevention specialist. That is what my title is.
perfect. I love that. I love that. And all right, guys, if you're watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And my name is Minho. I'm a realtor. I focus on business and commercial. And I'm also a confidence mindset coach, because regardless of what you're trying to do, what things that you're facing in life, right? You may want what other people are having, or sometimes you may think like, wow, I'm smarter than that person. Why don't I have what they have? And the difference between you and that person, it's your mindset. Okay. It's how they think, it's what you think, and it's what they know and think they deserve, and it's what you know and think you deserve. And many times you got to build up that mindset, and then, the confidence will come in. And when your time comes, you're ready to have what other people have or what you think you desire. Okay, guys, if you want to contact me, realminho@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions for Matthew, you know how to reach him. If you want to contact me for a breakthrough session, I also offer referrals to residential agents. I know a lot of times you guys don't do commercial and business sales. So I work with many realtors all over the states. Okay. So also, if you're trying to get into commercial and that's something that you really, really want to do, I'm looking for 5 realtors that I would love to mentor, and we can, get on this and get some of these deals, because there are deals everywhere and investors are out there looking for deals, and they're just waiting for us to hand it over to them. I can't do it all by myself. And you heard what Matthew was talking about. ways of how to get more deals. And I know how to find those deals. I just don't have enough time. So you guys know how to reach out to me, realmanho@gmail.com. It's right there. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I know my Facebook is not my government. That's a long story. But you can find me there. However you guys find this video is how you can contact me. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching. Matthew, do you have any last minute before we hang up?
No, just if you're interested, you could reach out, for a real estate agent, or if you're a real estate broker and you want to find out more about the free classes, obviously you could email me or you could call the toll-free number, and you can always go to Amazon and you can pick up my book, Short Sale Savage.
I love it. Thank you. And I do want to attend the class. I didn't get a notification, so I'm really sad that happened. Okay,
I'm sad for you.
Perfect. Do that. And when you're about to have it, or you can tag me on your Facebook
Absolutely.
or something like that. Because I want to jump on. I want to know more, because you can only what you make is how much is inside your head. So when the market changes, you got to pivot. Right? You got to be on top of everything. So even though I may not do it, but at least I understand a little bit. So I know how to speak the lingo, and I know to ask the right questions. And when I'm able to ask the right questions, right? Because the deal I lost was hundreds and thousands of dollars of commission. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have both sides of it. And the buyer was giving me a 3% on top of the 6%. I lost a lot of money. And you know how much that deal was. So if you don't want to lose money, you got to get a professional to help you, because if I knew what to ask, things to say, and I should have been more on top of it. And, I blame it on my mindset. I was kind of in a really dark spot, it was a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes that can trigger you. All right. So that's why,
Totally.
Yeah, it totally could trigger you. And we all go through that transition in your life, that heal, that dip, right? And sometimes people may be thinking that, wow, your life is awesome. You're doing well. What's going on? What's wrong with you? We all go through that dip. And when you have no more challenges, congratulations. Time for you to go to rest. All right, Matthew, this was fun. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you, everyone, for watching. See you guys later. Mwah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Go out and vote. Okay. Oops, did it end it? No, not yet.